had the pleasure of being one of Professor Galletti's students in biomedical engineering at Brown University. In the early 1980s, there was a small cadre of us who undertook his coursework in artificial organs and experimental surgery, and it was during that time that I first saw the potential to combine a career in clinical medicine and scientific rigor. And since then, he has really stood the test of time of being an outstanding mentor. After graduating from Brown, I went to Case Western Reserve to pursue the MD Ph.D. program, following in the footsteps in a way of Professor Galletti, who also was a combined degree professional. And during that time, I expected to become a triple threat. In essence, is what they called someone who was a clinician, a teacher, and a research scientist. And I pursued that during my residency training, but then came to the personal decision that for me, the way to have the biggest impact in healthcare was to apply those lessons and those rigors and those ideas that I've learned into product development setting. While I miss and realize that I would be making the trade-off of having direct one-to-one patient care where you come to my office and I take care of you and we develop that relationship, that has been superseded by the fact that the products that I and my team have developed have been used and implanted in literally hundreds of thousands of patients all around the world. It's a different kind of satisfaction. When I went to Brown, I knew that I wanted to be a physician, but I didn't really understand the art and the process of science. So it was during that time, while I was an undergraduate and had a thesis, that I really fell in love with the process of science and the discovery, and then realized through working with people like Professor Galletti that you could create a career that merged the discipline of science with the elements of clinical caregiving and use that together to create opportunities and products that would really have an impact on global health. I've had the blessing of working in both startup, mid-size, and large multinational companies, working in biotech, medical devices, and diagnostics. And over the last 20-some years in the industry, the explosion of knowledge and the rate of change of advancing new information has continued to accelerate, which on one hand provides enormous opportunity, on the other hand provides a sense of complexity that we still have to work through and do so in a way that not only engages our scientists, but also has to engage those who make decisions around public policy and regulation. And we owe it to the entire public community to make sure that these processes move forward hand in hand. We are on the verge of an explosion of information that many people are calling the biological age. And so with that comes an enormous power and potential to actually control and manipulate elements of biology and human engineering, and the intersection of biology and engineering is poised to do dramatic things for public health and for individual health. I've had the pleasure of working on projects and programs and products that I've seen used and implanted in my friends and in my family, and one day I suspect that I'll be the beneficiary of some of those very projects. And wouldn't it be ironic if some kind of implant that I receive is one that I or one of my peers actually worked on? That would be a tremendous thrill. Well, I often tell a story to people about the salamander, who, as you may know, is capable of regenerating an entire limb or many other body parts if they're damaged or injured. And I have spent many years of my career trying to understand the basic cell and molecular events of that repair and regeneration process. By understanding those events, we're able to then control them and try to recapitulate them so that we can develop products that are able to repair and regenerate diseased or damaged tissue. And this has been sort of a key theme in my career over the last 25 years. It's been a blessing to be able to work in other areas such as diagnostics, such as other kinds of medical devices as well. But I keep coming back to this challenge of tissue repair and regeneration. One day, one day, 100 years from now, when they dig us up and they look at all the metal and plastic that's been implanted in our bodies, they're going to look back and say, those people of the 20th and 21st century, they were barbarians. What were they thinking, implanting all of this metal and plastic and lead and batteries, when now we have harnessed the ability to solve many of the most vexing clinical problems with biologic solutions. Getting the Galletti Award is particularly touching for me because of the very fond feelings that I've had and held for Pierre over the last 30 years since I knew him. There were 3 or 4 features that I think typify his thinking that I have carried with me for many years and maybe put in my own words, and I would call them in the following way. Insist on scientific excellence from yourself and the people around you. Second would be to find ways to reduce your inventions and discoveries to practice. Third is to think globally, and the products that you try to develop to have the broadest use possible. And the last is for your lifetime to learn, to teach, and to pay it forward. And if you do all of this, combined with pursuing a passion, you'll have a richly rewarding career. I consider myself blessed this way.